Hi everybody, Adrian Plass here.
Yes, and Bridget, hello.
And we have finally reached number 60, haven't we?
We have incredibly reached number 60.
I mean, it's on the whole, it's been a joy. We've had our moments, but here we are at number 60. And I'm very pleased to say that someone, a friend of ours, has sent us some diamonds, as it's our 60th anniversary.
Absolutely.
A cluster of diamonds. And you'll see they have something in common as I read them to you. They are virtual diamonds.
They are
I have to
of
they're
something.
pictures. But here's a selection of them. Diamond black cider, double diamond beer, diamond gin. You see there is a bit of a theme here. Diamond brandy and diamond whiskey. This person obviously is a person of the spirit.
Yes.
And thank you very much for that.
Yes.
We will have a virtual drink
celebration.
later
Absolutely.
on. Yeah, we will do.
We also heard from somebody who was enjoying hearing about your pictures and ours and the pictures that mean a lot to us and the reason we have them on the wall. And she was saying that she's always loved the seaside and especially in the winter. And oh my goodness, I tune in with her on this. When the waves are really high and everything is crashing and it's stormy and it's dark and scary and exciting. And she has a picture of the sea at Warren Point in the storm, and she was saying it just reminds her always of how vulnerable we are as people and how much we need God in storms. And my goodness, we've thought that so many times over the last far too many weeks, haven't we? And well, for some of us, that's going to change a little bit.
Yeah.
Not everybody. We're so aware of some people who are having to shield, and so this particular treat isn't going to happen. But for some of us, we can actually meet up to 6 people outside, and it feels almost like a holiday, doesn't it?
6 including us.
Yeah,
we don't want to confuse anybody, do we?
No. Well, we're not. We are not official messengers.
No, that's right.
Ings.
And we've thought a lot about holidays, haven't we? It's been like a holiday being able to meet like that.
Yeah.
And we were thinking back over our holidays, and we realised that a while ago, or we'd forgotten, we listed all the things we've lost during the course of our holidays.
Yes, and also the course of our work, because that has taken us all over the place.
It has taken us
well.
all over the world, yeah. So we're going to read you this list. We've literally littered, well, sort of littered, 6 continents with sunglasses, cameras, odd socks, cricket bats, essential documents, books, presents for people back home, underwear left in hotel drawers, oh please no, combs, bags, sweatshirts, and one very much loved teddy bear called Gregory. But don't worry, Gregory was posted back home from Sydney to England. Had to do it. We have nearly lost all our money to thieves in Spain, and during the same holiday, exactly the same thing in Dover.
Yes. And then we've lost half of Adrian's earlobe in New Zealand. We'll explain that later. We nearly lost our daughter in Denmark. We definitely lost hope on the border between Zambia and the Congo. We lost our voices when sound failed in Auckland Cathedral and we were doing a really big talk there. We have definitely lost the will to live in Los Angeles Airport. We certainly lost most of the meals we had in Bolivia. We were not very well there. We lost every single bit of luggage on our first trip to Australia, and we lost height far too rapidly in a plane landing in snow and fog in Canada.
That was terrifying.
Yeah.
We lost our dignity in Peru in the chemists.
Yeah, we'll tell them about that afterwards.
We
as
will.
well.
We lost some inhibitions in Australia.
Yeah.
Some confidence in America. All our souvenirs to corrupt customs officials in an East European country. We lost weight in Sweden and Switzerland because we couldn't afford to eat. We lost our way for several dismal, strange hours in Holland. We lost our cool in traffic jams in Bangladesh. And I'd say every now and then we lost our belief in marriage as an institution in quite a lot of places. And in the course of going to look at charities for kids, we lost our hearts to thousands of children we've seen and met all over the world. But I tell you what, we have never lost our passports.
No, well, not yet anyway. There's still time, Adrian, there's still time. Well, we said we'd unpick one or two of those things, and the first one was losing half of Adrian's earlobe. The thing is, we're not good as a family at fishing. and we'd gone to this lake, hadn't we, in New Zealand to fish. And one of our sons had thought he'd just about got the hang of it. And would you like to tell people?
Well,
what
it was
happened,
not
Adrian?
really funny at all, actually. It was
Not for
very
Adrian.
painful. Our middle son tried to cast, in other words, send the hook out right over towards the middle of the lake. And it was quite a good cast, except it wasn't well aimed. It caught my ear, the hook, and there's a thing called a spoon. It's a metal thing. It's about 2 inches long. So I ended up with this green metal thing hanging off my ear like an
Yes.
earring.
Well, that was the problem. It looked like an earring, a very elaborate earring. So it looked very funny.
So I then had to, I tell you, it was like a brick hitting your head. It was
Yes,
most
I
odd.
know.
I then had to go to the local hospital. The people on the way in laughed at me. The people just inside laughed at me. The nurse who looked at it pretended not to laugh but did. The doctor who cut it off definitely laughed. And then my entire family laughed.
Well, we
so
tried
in the
not
end,
to.
I had to laugh as well.
We did try not to.
But
We
they did cut it off.
We did try not to. We mentioned losing our luggage on the way to Australia, and you also mentioned losing your dignity in Australia, your inhibitions, and that's because this was the first time we'd gone to Australia, and we were speaking at a conference, and we were very excited. But we had no clothes with us, and so you had to borrow
Our luggage
somebody's
was left
shorts.
behind by the airline. And yeah, so I don't wear shorts.
Well, sometimes you do.
Well, almost never.
You don't wear somebody else's
I don't think
shorts.
I'd worn shorts for several years
No,
before that.
No.
And I was standing up at the front there, feeling a bit self-conscious. But there it is, you have to do it, don't you? It was all right in the end. Yeah.
But the other thing we mentioned that we might as well just talk about now is we said we lost our dignity in Peru. We had very bad stomachs, didn't we, Adrian, in
Yeah,
Peru?
we had attacks of diarrhea, and we thought we'd go to the chemist.
Pharmacy,
So we
yeah.
went to the chemist pharmacy and managed to convey this to the lady with some rather undignified miming.
She didn't speak
And
English.
She, to our amazement, produced what I can only describe as something very much like a paint chart. It was colours of various shades of brown, and she asked us to tell her which of those colours corresponded to our ailment.
She did.
And she then gave us some medicine,
Well,
which,
she gave us some pills, if you remember, great big
yeah,
horse pills.
huge ones,
and they made
yeah.
us feel very, very ill.
She
so that's
may have slightly misunderstood our complaint. I don't know.
She could have misunderstood it completely for all we know. But if you're like us, you remember the very best and the very worst of holidays, the moment when everything was so magical, you know you'll never forget it, and the moments when things are so dreadful, you know you'll never forget them.
Yeah, well, there've been quite a variety. I mean, one of the ones that will never leave our minds was arriving in the dark at a holiday cottage.
Oh gosh, yes, that was in the New Forest, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
typically of us, we left somewhat later than we'd planned to leave. So by the time we got there, it was dark. But that was fine. We had a key. We knew it was all right. And our boys, they always burst to get into the house really quickly. I have to tell you that they were sort of 9 and 10, and the idea is to bag's the best room or
That's
the best bed in the room or whatever it is. Anyway, they rushed out of the car,
And the
zoomed into the, I was just going to say, zoomed into the house, unlocked it, ran in. The dog followed them, equally excited, and I followed
So you've now
them.
got to imagine that they are, two of them are on the stairs.
Yes,
I'm in the hall.
yes,
I can't remember. Bridget was behind us.
absolutely.
The dog was everywhere.
Yes,
And suddenly Bridget screamed,
I did.
"Stop!"
I did.
in
Stop!
a very loud voice.
Because next to the car was a puddle. Not just a puddle, but a puddle full of tar, and all of us had walked through it on our way to the door. And the carpets in this house were white. Beautiful, fluffy white carpets. And our arrival meant that there was sticky black tar all the way through the hall, all the way up the stairs, all the way along the landing into the bedroom
It
that
was
the
a
boys had
nightmare,
chosen. And it
absolute
was
nightmare
right-
beginning to a holiday.
So-
And because it was tar, we had to work on it then. Not the next day, but then.
for about an hour and a half,
and,
scrubbing away with every cleaning material we could find. Yeah, we managed it, and it involved letters of apology as well. But it was the most terrible, terrible, terrible start to a holiday, really.
But Bridget is right. I mean, there are moments when everything is right, and you almost don't have to say anything. I mean, I write poems sometimes, and this is a very tiny poem. I don't even know if it's a poem, but it's called Crazy Golf, and it says, "There is not much more, need not be more, than playing crazy golf in France, laughing in the summer rain." And there is not much more. Any moment where you and your family are happy and you're doing something you remember with pleasure is absolutely wonderful.
Or you on your own, just a moment when you're standing looking at something like this person looking at the sea and looking at the waves and the storm.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're really important. We love France. We've loved France for years. We used to live in Sussex, so we could get the ferry across to France really, really easily. And with some friends, we bought a really little cottage there, didn't we, which was used by so many people for about 15, 20 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it did cause problems with language occasionally.
Well, yes, the problem is that Bridget's grasp of French is much better than any of the rest of us. My accent is pretty good, but my grammar is absolute rubbish. And we wanted to try to buy a small strip of the field behind our cottage. So we went to see the elderly farmer. Now you really have to imagine this. This is an elderly farmer, fairly grizzled, very kind of conservative.
Yes, and a very nervous negotiator, can I say.
And Bridget was elected to do the talking because of her greater ability with the French language. So we go to him, and what Bridget wanted to say to him was, "We want to buy a small strip of the field behind the cottage for us to use, etc., etc." What she actually said to him, we realised after a short time, we realised she had mistaken the words for field and bedroom.
Yeah, well, they are a little bit
So
similar.
what she actually said to him was, "We would like to buy a small strip of your bedroom. Obviously, we will put a small fence up between your part of the bedroom and our part of the bedroom, and of course the horse can stay."
No, I did not say, and of
I
course
invented
the horse
the bit
will
about
stay.
the horse. But try to imagine this elderly Frenchman scratching his head and trying to understand why we were going to move into his bedroom. I needn't add that we never managed to buy that.
We never got the bit of field. No, we didn't. No, but it isn't just me, is it, Adrian? I mean, you said that you were, you had a very, very good accent, but sometimes got things wrong.
Bridget got her own back.
Cable car, weren't we?
There was a very large lady in the cable car, a grandmotherly type, and she gave our boys some sweets, and I prepared myself to say something in French, which is always rather worrying for everybody. And eventually I said it. And what I wanted to say was, "You're obviously a grandmother yourself." And then she would smile and we would all laugh. When I said this, she backed as far as you can back in a cable car to the far corner and looked very upset. Apparently what I'd actually said to her was, you are a large woman, aren't you?" Which I don't think went down terribly
You know
well.
what? We were so glad to get out of that cable car so that I could actually tell Adrian what he'd said, and he could understand why he was being glared at so much.
Yeah.
One of the amazing things about travelling a lot with family is that sometimes you think you've given them experiences they'll never forget, and then one day when ours were in their late teens, we asked them what was their favourite holiday, and to our absolute amazement, all three of our sons remembered something that had happened before their sister was born, which was a holiday in Lancashire on a bit of a hill in the pouring rain, and it rained all week. But because it was raining and because we were all together, we played loads and loads and loads of games. They had their dad there, who was usually very busy working in a secure unit. They remember it as their favourite holiday.
Yeah. They just enjoyed it. It was what they wanted, what they needed. I've always enjoyed a comment by G.K. Chesterton, who I'm always quoting him, who said, I go on holiday in order to come home. In other words, going away means I really appreciate the place I go back to. And I think there's a lot of truth in that as well. It's really nice to come back through your front door again.
Well, I think that's what people are just, those of us who are able to go out now more are beginning to realise there is something nice. Our daughter phoned and said, I feel I've had a day out because she'd been out for a little while.
Yeah, that's right. We were asking ourselves whether Jesus ever had a holiday. I don't know if one had holidays in those days, but there were...
They had feast days, didn't they?
They had feast days, yeah.
Times when they went up to Jerusalem to celebrate things.
Yeah. There were two occasions when he tried to have time off that we know of. One was when John died.
Yes.
And he went out on the boat and the crowds were on the bank and that didn't work out. And the other was the Syrophoenician woman who, when he was in Tyre and Sidon, he'd kind of retreated really by the look of it. And she came and really blasted her way to him because he didn't want to see her.
No.
And
no,
her daughter was healed. Now, I don't know quite what was going on there, but his holiday or his break may not have quite worked out, but he enjoyed her wit and he enjoyed her reply. So, that's right.
Yeah.
And it'd be lovely to hear about your best and worst of, holiday experiences, if you have any. I'm sure some of you will have horrendous and wonderful memories.
Yeah. And if you are one of the people who's still got to stay locked in, maybe even so, just remembering, getting out some photos, maybe having a look at them and laughing at the worst and enjoying the best. Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow for number 61. Bye-bye.